Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Whitney, and today we're going to be going over my TBR. I keep making these TBRs every month, but then a book will catch my eye and I don't even really stick to most of my TBR, but I still like making them. I like making plans for my reading month, even if they don't necessarily work out the way that I think they will. So I have been trying to read a lot of books on my shelves because I have a tendency to get books from the library or purchase new books, and I really just want to read a whole bunch of books from my shelf this year. One way I'm going to read more of the books on my shelf is by participating in the Read Your Shelf Challenge that Chantel from Chantel Reads All Day puts on, and I'll link her channel below if you want to check her out. She's wonderful. The prompts this year are building upon each other. So the prompt for May was a book that was longer than the book that you read in April. And so the book I picked for this prompt is A River Enchanted, and I picked this up from Book of the Month a long time ago. I haven't gotten to it yet, and so I thought it would be the perfect time to read it because it fits the prompt and it sounds really interesting. It's a fantasy, an adult fantasy, and it's about a young boy who is from an island and he gets sent away to the mainland to become a bard, and he has to come back home to the island, but it's not under great circumstances. Girls are going missing, and they believe that this boy Jack is the only one that can figure out why these girls are going missing. I don't know, it sounds really intriguing. The second book in the series was also a Book of the Month pick, which I picked that one up as well. So I've got the second one if I enjoy this one. So I don't know, that's the first book that I'm going to be reading in May. The second book I'm going to be picking up in May is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, and I'm going to be buddy reading this with my friend Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia, and I'll link her channel as well. But we just finished reading Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. It's the second book in the Stormlight Archive, and someone mentioned to Tiffany that Warbreaker would be a good book to read after Words of Radiance. So it's a lot shorter than Words of Radiance, and I've actually read this before and I quite enjoyed it. So this will be a reread for me. However, I think it'll be interesting to reread it with a little bit of the Stormlight Archive background now, because I read this before I read The Way of Kings or Words of Radiance. So I'm excited to dive back into this book and see how I feel about it on the second go round. The second book I'm going to be reading is Kilmeny of the Orchard by LM Montgomermay, and I am reading this. It's the group read for LM Montgomermay, and I'm really excited to read this book. I love LM Montgomermay, but I haven't read a lot of her works outside of Anne. So I'm excited to dive into this one. I know nothing about it other than that was what was picked for the group read. So I'll be reading that. So another prompt for the LM Montgomermay Readathon is a nonfiction book. So I picked up The Coal Miner's Daughter to meet that prompt. This is Loretta Lynn's story of her upbringing in Kentucky and how she started writing songs and her life once she became famous. And so I'm excited to pick this up. I feel like I should have probably read this a long time ago, being a Kentucky girl, but May is the month for this one. Okay, so another prompt for that readathon is a poem referenced in the Anne book. So I picked up this book of poetry by W.B. Yeats, When You Were Old, Early Poems and Fairy Tales. I don't know if Anne referenced this or not, but this has been sitting on my shelf. I love these editions. It's like the penguin drop caps from A to Z, and I have nearly all of them. I'm missing 2, so one day my collection will be complete, but I just love this collection. And so it's been sitting on my shelf for a while, so I thought, you know what? It's a book of poetry and may or may not have referenced it, but why not read it? So this is going to be read in May. So the next book on my list is Fairest by Marissa Meyer. I'm currently reading Winter in the Lunar Chronicles, and it's the last book of the Lunar Chronicles. And then this is a story about Queen Lavanna. She's like the evil queen, and I guess her backstory. And so this is next in the series, and I believe after this there's just a book of like short stories, and then I'll be finished with the entire series. So this will be read in May as well. Another one I hope to get to in May is Premeditated Myrtle, and this is a middle grade mystery, and it was lent to me by Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia, and I'm excited to get to it. She said it's great. She said that she loves the whole series, and I don't know a whole bunch about it other than Myrtle is a young girl who is obsessed with solving crimes, and so she is trying to solve a murder. So I'm excited to get into this series, and hopefully I'll love it as much as everyone else has loved it. Next up on my list is Happy Place by Emily Henry, and this was a book that I put on my 5-star predictions video. I love Emily Henry and her banter. I love the way that she writes her characters, so I really hope to enjoy this one. It sounds like a lot of fun. It's about a couple who is no longer a couple, but their friend group vacations in the same spot every year, and they don't want to ruin that for their friends, so they have to pretend to still be a couple and in love. And of course, I'm sure that, you know, they probably end up back together, happy ending and all of that stuff, but I'm excited to get to it. We'll see if it is a 5-star read for me or not. So another book that is on my TBR that I'm just kind of reading here or there, I have the ebook version, is The Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson. This is his secret project number 2. And I'll be honest, it's been kind of hard for me to get into because it's not like anything that he's written, but I'm still wanting to read it, and so I hope to finish that in May as well. Okay, so pickle jar prompts. I'm going to do 2. I feel like last month, did I even read the prompts? Or the books for the prompts that I picked? I don't know. Like I said, I feel like I'm failing my TBRs, but I still like making them, so I don't know. What does that say about me? Who knows? But anyway, okay. Let's check this up a little better. All right, so here's this one, and here's this one. Okay, so the first prompt, a book set in the outdoors. And then the second prompt is an author I've never read. Okay, so I'm going to see what's on my shelf that fits these prompts, and then I'll show you what I've picked out. Okay, so I found some books for these prompts. The first one was a book set in the outdoors, and I picked up My Side of the Mountain. I've never read this. It's a survival story about a young boy who lives in New York City, and then I guess he's unhappy in the city, so he runs away to the mountains, and then he has to survive. So we'll see if I get to this one. And then the one for the author I've never read is My Antonia by Willa Cather. This has been on my shelf because my husband had to read it when he went back to school for one of his classes, and so he purchased this to read for school. I don't really know anything about it. It says it's My Antonia evokes the Nebraska prairie life of Willa Cather's childhood. So Antonia arrives on the Nebraska frontier as part of a family of Bohemian immigrants. Her story is told through the eyes of Jim Burden, a neighbor who will befriend Antonia, teach her English, and follow the remarkable story of her life. So I feel like this could probably be fit either prompt, really, set outdoors, because it's talking about her working in the fields a lot. But anyway, so this is the one that I picked for the author that I've never read. Okay, so there you have it. There are there are a lot of the books that I want to get to in May. I'm really not sure if I'm going to get to all of them. I really want to prioritize Warbreaker because I'm buddy reading that, and A River Enchanted because that will help me with the Read Your Shelf Challenge. And then the Montgomermay Readathons will also be prioritized, or the Readathon books will also be prioritized. But other than that, we'll see. We'll see what I get to and what I don't. I'm really more of a mood reader, and maybe I should make, piles of possibilities instead of a TBR. I'm not sure. Maybe I should do that going forward. But so we'll see what I get to in the month of May. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.